area could have been more controlled. Now, based on that convictions, they decided 20 over years ago to identify several tourism sites that the management plan, i.e. the policy of the government, because the government signed the approval of the management plan for development. But today, none of the 5 is developed. Even after 20 years, when people ask us if there is any possibility to investing tourism in this location, we said yes, but you have to fulfill criteria. But the management plan doesn't provide the SOP. We didn't even know when we identify this location based on geography, based on geomorphology, based on whatever information, wildlife information available then. We didn't provide a detailed explanation of how to develop the area. Each of the locations have different strength, have different weakness, have different potential, and so on. So after 20 over years, we, the stakeholders, we are supposed to be the expert that provide assistance to the government as to how to make sure that development of the site surrounding this 60 over 1,000 hectares of forest is done properly. And we like to think that if we have use some semblance of scientific information available in the year 2000 toward 2003, were used in order to justify the recommendations of this location, we hope to think that today, after 20 over years, the research that have been carried out, whatever amount that we have, the wildlife survey that we have carried out, is sufficient for us to base our development concepts. And I hope that will be discussed today. I think it is important that we come up with the SOP on how to develop this site. Because unplanned proposal from different sectors will lead to what we believe unsustainable tourism development, which is incompatible with the wish that we have for the conservation area. So today's discussions, hopefully we'll be able to share. We'll be able to share with the Sarawakian. We'll be able to share with people from Royal Balloon. We will be able to share with SABAH Parks and many others in order to be able to come up with the recommendations as to how best to develop this site. And hopefully the discussion will lead into recommendations in the revisions of the management plan that we have to do. We have revised 2 management plans. We have revised 1 management plan and we are revising 1. So we should be able to come up with a 3rd one that will determine, because the development is so fast. As I said, Kalabakan district is just established. And knocking on our door is a sealed road up to the border from Nusantara. So the impact is going to be there. So sometimes business, if you're not ready, they have ways of coming to us uninvited. Because many people, when they see potential, they will invite themselves to develop for you. But I think it will be good if all stakeholders are involved in determining what is the best for the state, what is the best for Sabah, and for a place that we are proud in Sabah to say we are knowledge destinations, tourist destination. I think it is crucial that we put our head together and perhaps we'll be able to come up with a good management plan that is easy to understand, that leave little gray areas. And if there are gray areas, then it will be about sustainable management of our heritage. So that I would like to thank everybody. Hopefully we will have a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. YD, for that heartwarming opening message.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have prepared a video presentation that showcases the journey and milestones of our efforts in the Maliau Basin since its inception. Please enjoy the video.
Deep in the heart of Sabah lies an ancient world untouched by time, the Maliau Basin Conservation Area, the enchanting lost world of Borneo. Nestled just above the equator in south-central Sabah, the Maliau Basin Conservation Area lies within Malaysian Borneo. Located about 190 kilometers from Tawau and near the Indonesian border, this remote wilderness spans 58,840 hectares. It includes the entire Maliau Basin, an ancient, bowl-shaped rainforest, and surrounding forests to the east and north. Maliau Basin remained largely unexplored until the 1980s. When scientists and conservationists first set foot here, they knew it had to be protected. In 1983, Yayasan SABAH designated it as a conservation area through the Forest Management Plan of the Yayasan Sabah Concession Area, approved by the Sabah Cabinet. In 1997, it was further gazetted as a Class 1 Protection Forest Reserve. It was never meant to be overrun by mass tourism. Instead, it was envisioned as a site for science, education, and nature-based tourism in harmony with conservation. Under Section 42 of the Sabah Forest Enactment 1966, Yayasan Sabah is responsible for its day-to-day administration and oversight by the Maliau Basin Management Committee, ensuring the conservation and sustainable management of this extraordinary natural heritage. As of 2025, the Maliau Basin Conservation Area has expanded from 159,205 hectares to 175,205 hectares, incorporating additional key forested areas beyond the original basin boundary. Under the Maliau Basin Strategic Management Plan, 7 potential tourism sites were identified. The purpose of identifying these tourism sites is to promote sustainable nature-based tourism, diversify visitor experiences, support conservation financing, engage local communities, and strengthen the relevance of protected areas in the eyes of the public. The Maliau tourism site is located in the Maliau Buffer Zone Extension 2, near the main gate to the Maliau Basin Studies Center, the access route to the core area of the basin. Stretching from across the road at the gate all the way to the mountain range, this area offers strong potential for developing interpretative trails, wildlife viewing areas, picnic spots, and visitor accommodations. Tibo lies in the Sapulut Forest Reserve, with elevations up to 785 meters. Near the iconic Batu Punggul in Sabah's interior, Tibo offers a rare blend of dramatic limestone cliffs, wild river journeys, a possible hidden waterfall, and authentic Murut cultural experiences, making it a hidden gem for sustainable adventure tourism. Situated in the Sungai Pinanga Forest Reserve, this site connects to the MBCA core and features waterfalls, wildlife, and a vibrant community culture ideal for immersive tourism. Beyond its natural wonders, the Penanga tourism site holds great potential for eco-adventures, cultural exchanges, and conservation-based experiences. Inarad is located near the northern edge of MBCA, close to Kampung Inarad. With natural attractions like Lake Linu Moonsuit, fossils, and panoramic rim views, it also showcases rich cultural heritage. Just 14 kilometers from MBSC, Kuamut lies in a protected buffer zone, accessible via boat or helicopter. Its remoteness offers a rugged and immersive rainforest experience for future ecotourism ventures. Positioned near Phase 2 of the Inikia project and about 60 kilometers from the Kalabakan Tawau Road, this site has high potential as a northern access point and border monitoring station. It also offers tourism prospects, with trekking routes, a recently discovered waterfall and cave, and opportunities for wildlife sightings. Situated near Phase 1 of the Inikia project and adjacent to the Sapulut Kalabakan main road, the site offers a suitable campsite with clean running water and is associated with natural features, including waterfalls in the surrounding landscape and presence of wildlife. The tourism sites plays a critical role in ensuring the long-term sustainability of Maliau Basin. However, the development strategies for these sites have yet to be clearly defined. To date, the only progress made has been the completion of baseline surveys. No physical infrastructure or operational activities have been initiated. Thus, to support this effort, the current workshop aims to exchange knowledge and best practices in ecotourism management from various protected areas or parks across Malaysia. Identify tourism potential for each sites. Map out potential revenue-generating initiatives and explore potential investment opportunities that aligned with the SABAH development corridor. And generate clear and actionable recommendations to guide the formulation of the revised management plan. Maliau Basin is not just a place to visit, it's a place to learn, to reflect, and to be humbled by the power of nature. Our aspiration is simple: to remain untouched yet treasured, remote yet reachable, protected yet shareable. We envision a conservation area where the heart of nature is preserved in its purest form, while surrounding ecotourism sites invite people to experience its beauty responsibly. Through careful planning, sustainable development, and community engagement, we create opportunities for discovery, education, and connection that strengthen the very protection of the land we cherish.
Before we begin the workshop, I would like to provide a brief overview of the tentative outline for our 1.5 days event. This workshop consists of 4 sessions, and the first session will be featuring a sharing segment presented by 5 speakers. Please be informed that all speakers will be allocated around 15 minutes for presentations and 5 minutes of Q&A session as well. The second and third session will involve group discussion and presentation facilitated by our very own invited experts. And the fourth session will conclude with a wrap-up of the outcome from the workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, this session is also streamed through YouTube, and we're pleased to have some speakers joining us via online as well. After the presentation, there will be a question and answer session, and we do have a Slido app which we can use to ask questions anonymously if you would prefer, and also if you would like to ask directly, you can also do so. Please note that due to time constraint, the speaker may not be able to answer most of the questions, but we will try to be as fast as we can as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the presentation of the speakers. So our first speaker, joining us from Wildlife Tourism Australia, is Dr. Rhonda Joy Green. Dr. Rhonda Joy Green holds a Bachelor with Honours and a PhD in Zoology. She has conducted extensive research on avian behavior, habitat selection, and sustainable wildlife tourism. Dr. Green chairs several organizations, including Wildlife Tourism Australia, and she has been invited to speak at conferences and workshops in over 30 countries. So without further ado, I welcome Dr. Rhonda to share her insights on developing multiple ecotourism sites in protected areas, factors to consider.
Do I stop sharing now?
Yes, doctor, we can hear you loud and clear.
Shall I start the presentation now?
Sure, you can. Yes, you can start the presentation now.
Yeah. So, looking at, I don't know why that green line is there, that shouldn't be there. Okay, so I'm Dr. Rob Green, Chair of the Biodiversity Working Group, and I was doing tourism and protected areas, and also Chair of Wildlife Tourism Australia. So, just by way of quick introduction, a couple of my recent publications in the last 50 years or so. With a colleague, our colleague is the Sustainable Development of Wildlife Tourism in Asia and Pacific, commissioned by the United Nations World Tourism Organization.
Sorry, wait, Dr. Rhonda. Hello?
Environmental and wildlife skills, people skills, economic. Not just some big international companies arrive with all their equipment and so on. It should employ the local people or buy local food, local products, and local services. Okay, so there's various stakeholders involved in wildlife tourism. First is the wildlife itself.
Hello, Dr. Rhonda. Hello.
And so, ecotourism also, of course, the co-op, the founder of business. So the first thing to first on wildlife.
Your mic is a bit unclear just now, so. Hello, doctor, can you hear us?
Can someone else unmute me? I'm trying, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Hello, doctor.
Something to hear. I can't stop hearing. Hello? No, showing it came out of it.
Hello, doctor, can you hear us?
Okay.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but it's a bit unclear. So it's a bit, apa orang cakap tu? A bit muted, no, a bit deep. Yeah, a bit, it's a bit buffered, yeah. Can you please adjust the mic, please?
I thought not you. Is better?
Yeah, it's still
Can you hear me now?
not so clear though.
Can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah, much better. Yes,
I've just taken my earphones away.
yeah. So you can just continue with your presentation then.
You can hear me better now?
Yes.
Good. Failed. Um, I won't go through all that again.
Or you can adjust the size of the slide as well, if you could. It's quite big right now. You can see the whole page, the whole slide.
Right. The stakeholders in
Okay.
ecotourism are the wildlife, including the plants and everything, the tourists that come to see them, the tour operators, and the local residents. They all have different needs. How do we find the right balance? So for the wildlife, there's two aspects. There's the individual animal's needs, the welfare of the wildlife. There's also survival of the whole species, the conservation aspect. So when we're looking at the welfare, we try not to disturb the animals that we're looking at. This is obviously an Australian photo here. I tell people don't walk directly towards them, just walk going past them but getting slightly closer. Then you can stop, take a photo, keep going. If the kangaroo looks disturbed at all, just go back, don't come any closer. It might, the young kangaroo might flee away from its mother and then they don't find each other again. If it happens too often, they might not feed in the same place. With penguins, if you disturb penguins on the nest and they stand up, the cold wind can freeze the egg, freeze the chick. You don't have too many penguins in Borneo, but you do have these guys. And I was a bit disturbed. I've been on a number of tours in SABAH. I was a bit disturbed with a couple of them, just kept coming closer and closer to egrets and other birds until the bird flew away. Now, if it happens once, maybe no problem. If it happens a lot of times, that bird might decide not to feed there anymore. And it might be the best place for it to feed. It might now have to feed somewhere not so good for it. Yeah, another one guide that I went with in SABAH, we found otters, and we were drifting closer and closer to the otters. The otters suddenly raced back under cover. So we started going away. Then the driver of the boat looked around, saw otter has come back. So he immediately took the boat straight towards it again, disappeared again. He should have stayed where he was, let us all watch from a distance. On the other hand, sometimes restrictions are a little bit too restrictive. One paper on proboscis monkeys found that even quiet boats approaching them slowly made them look around and stare. But I think they overreacted. They said no boat should go closer than 60 metres. Now that would be the other side of the river, and I can't imagine any of the guides sticking to that. So, yeah, I think we've got to be a bit sensible and play it by ear a little bit first, find out what really does disturb the animal. If it just looks at us and stares at us for a while and goes back eating, probably no problem. Oh, I mentioned noise there. Another example on one of the boats on the KINABALU, little girl just talking so loud the whole time. Fortunately, she quietened down when we did get close to some monkeys, but really I think the guide then should have told her, no, if we're going to see animals, you have to be a little bit quieter. So yeah, got to avoid shining bright lights into the animal's eyes. Overuse of bird calls often makes, especially the male birds, just waste too much energy fighting an intruder that's not there. So although using bird calls is a useful tool, sometimes it's overdone. Okay, I better go a bit faster since we lost a bit of time. Now, thinking now from welfare of the individual animal to conservation of the whole species. Too much disturbance of too many individuals could translate into some conservation problems. You know, if the animals start going into less favourable breeding areas, or if they miss catching their meal too many times because people disturb them. Okay, so we need to look at the needs of the wildlife. We also need, of course, to look at the needs and the expectations and attitudes of tourists. What they think they need, they sometimes don't really always, but of course they need safety. When we take tourists into a wilderness area, we've got to bring them out again safely. A certain degree of comfort. Some people need a lot of comfort, others are quite happy with roughing it. But yes, a certain level of comfort is needed. Yeah, they've got to enjoy the tour. We need to educate them a bit, not just come, take a couple of photos, go away, and really not learn anything about where they've been. Yeah, they want to have some nice experience, and a lot of tourists now really want to give something back. So a citizen science program or a conservation volunteer program, yeah, they often really enjoy. There's different kinds of tourists. Some want to rough it, like walking through the muddy tracks in the forest there with the yellow boots, or more comfortably on this boardwalk in SELINGAN, or seeing animals that are captive or semi-captive, like those orangutans also at SELINGAN. A lot of people want to feed the wildlife, but there are problems. Sometimes animals become aggressive with the next person that doesn't feed them. I'm not sure why this kangaroo was attacking someone, but sometimes attacks are because animals want food. You can spread disease amongst animals. Sometimes animals get too trusting and then trust the wrong person. And yeah, it can be done responsibly with the right food and not too much food and in the right situations. Yeah, so good interpretation also assists in providing tourists with wonderful experiences and can also teach them minimal negative impact on wildlife and the environment. So tour operators also have their needs. And they need to please their tourists, otherwise they won't get custom, especially in these days of social media. They need to minimise the impacts on wildlife, not upset local residents. They need to make money. They don't have to make a lot of money, but they certainly need to make some money just to keep going. And they need to keep smiling. This guy was both a tourist and a tour operator. He was on one of our tours, but he runs his own tours in Northern Territory. And yeah, even if, you know, maybe your boyfriend has left you or you're in a bad mood about something, you can't show that to your tourists. You've got to look happy, cheerful and friendly, no matter what you're actually feeling. So, yeah, tour operators have to juggle all those needs. It's not always an easy task. Some people just don't realise just how difficult a tour guide's work can really be. And of course, there's the needs of the local residents. They can benefit. They can get jobs. The local restaurants and service stations and so on benefit from people spending money. And also, when the local tour operators make more money, they're more likely to spend money in the local community, get a haircut, buy new shoes or something. And facilities like new roads can benefit the local people as well as the tourists, and they can get some educational benefits. Sometimes tour operations, our own included, will give some free tours to some of our local residents when there's spare seats in the tour vehicle, or run a local workshop and so on. But also there can be some problems for local residents, like a beach like that one up above with just a seagull sitting there can turn into something like the one down below. And this can happen in other habitats. When I go walking in the forests here in Australia, I might expect to see another 10 or 12 people. Whenever I went walking in Yosemite in California, every time I went walking, there were 200 people doing the same walk. Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes, yeah, there's other problems of overcrowding and local people not being able to park, not being able to use the shops and restaurants that they usually do, and not getting access. So, okay, that's one aspect, sort of trying to balance the needs of the wildlife, the tourists, the tour operators, and local residents. Now, we're talking about ecotourism specifically in conservation areas. Conservation areas are for protecting biodiversity, and that very biodiversity is good. You just mentioned multiple ecotourism ventures. There can be some places where you're more likely to see this lovely leopard cat, or other places where you're more likely to see elephants or proboscis monkeys or hornbills or whatever. So it's great for tourism to have that sort of biodiversity. Biodiversity is more than that. When thinking about biodiversity, many tourism people tend to think just of the big or the famous or charismatic animals, like this African elephant over here, or your pygmy elephant, of course, or this beautiful orangutan that was on the KINABALU. Yeah, and some other examples from Australia as well there. Or they just think of beautiful backdrops to nature activities. But biodiversity is much more than that. If we're really serious about conserving biodiversity, and in conservation areas, we really have to be concerned about all of biodiversity. It's the variety of all living things. I think we can forget about trying to conserve things like the virus for dengue fever, um, but generally we want to preserve all the organisms, the animals, the microorganisms, and the genetic information that they contain, and the ecosystems that collectively they all form a part of. Yeah, I was fascinated not only seeing the little squirrels and so on in SABAH, but this tractor millipede and beautiful uh, dragonfly. The little soldier crab there is closer to home. They're in southeast Queensland. Our tourists love to see them coming up out of their burrows in their hundreds. But it also includes the things we don't see. The little rat-like creatures that scurry around at night that we never see. Yep, the many, sorry, I just got a message. I thought it might have been from yourselves, but no, it wasn't. But the fleeting glimpses of little bats that might zoom past that play an important ecological role. The fungi, the tiny plants, and the tiny creatures in the leaf litter of the forest and the soil, breaking down nutrients to a form that the trees can use them, and also being part of the food chain, supporting reptiles and birds and small mammals, and ultimately large animals as well. The invertebrates underneath the sand on a beach, or underneath the mud of a lagoon. So, biodiversity worldwide is in trouble. There's an expansion of human activity. You can see all those people there crowding around the kangaroos, although in that particular case it really didn't matter. But there's a lot of habitat loss. There's animals introduced to other areas which never should have been there, and causing a lot of problems for the native animals and native plants. There's climate change, a big one that's happening. And there's a lot of lack of understanding by some of our politicians and other decision makers, unfortunately, not realising just how important some of the biodiversity is. There are still many species and ecosystems that are not protected. Just a little bit of perspective here. The total biomass, those first two columns are humans and domestic animals. The last two are marine mammals and wild land mammals. That's the Earth in general, globally. It's a bit disturbing when you realise just how little of our wildlife is really left in terms of biomass. So, protected areas must maintain conservation of biodiversity as their primary goal and ensure that tourism within them minimises any impacts and monitors for changes. We need to be able to measure things from time to time. Not everything, that's impossible. I loved seeing this little insect when I was in SABAH. That's a gorgeous one. There's also a lot of interactions and different species depending on each other, like this rhinoceros hornbill eating the figs. There's herbivores that control plant growth. There's predator-prey interactions. There's pollinators of plants. There's dispersers of seeds, like the hornbill there. There's a lot that we know about. A lot of research has been done, but there's still a lot that we don't know too. That's why citizen science within tourism can be useful. Just a quick example of dependency. This is a beautiful butterfly that lives near home, the Richmond birdwing butterfly. It's a beautiful butterfly. Its caterpillar depends on the Parastolochia vine. And that Parastolochia vine depends on a tiny midge for pollination. Nothing else will pollinate it. And that midge depends on clear freshwater mountain streams for its larvae to grow in. How many chains of dependency are there in the forest? There's probably thousands that we really don't know about yet. So we have to be careful to try not to upset too many things. I mentioned the animals of soil and leaf litter earlier. They help to aerate the soil by tunnelling through it, breaking down leaf litter to nutrients. Those that dig down can enhance water penetration. Even ant nests. Sometimes the bigger ants dig tunnels going quite a distance down under the soil, and when it rains, I don't know what the ants think about it, but a lot more water penetrates the soil than would otherwise. And of course, mentioned before, they form the base of food chains, and some of them, especially ants, but a few other insects as well, disperse small seeds. Then there's pollinators, moths, butterflies, bees and wasps, other insects like beetles, flies, birds do a lot of pollination, some small mammals do, and just a surprising one that we found in Australia, the potteroo, a small relative of the kangaroos, disperses the spores of mycorrhizal fungi. Mycorrhizal fungi live on the roots of trees, and they break down nutrients from the soil to a form that the trees can use them. So these funny little rat-like animals hopping around like kangaroos are actually very important to the health of the forest because they disperse the mycorrhizae fungi. So, yep, and there's birds, lizards, ants, others that disperse seeds. And the seed dispersers that depend entirely on fruit must have fruit every month of the year. Some can switch to eating insects, some can fly away and find fruit somewhere else, but some have to have that. So, yeah, if an eco lodge is being developed and they cut down a tree that happens to fruit in the lean seasons, that might make things awkward for the local frugivores, for instance. So biodiversity is not just the species, it's also the interactions between those species and the dependencies of one species on another. Thirdly, to look after biodiversity is also good PR for ecotourism businesses. Jatna Supriyatna of Indonesia finally managed to get an international conference going in Java earlier this year. I was one of the keynote speakers, which I was very pleased at being. And yeah, he made the point right at the start. All guides, all tour guides should know about biodiversity. Firstly, so they understand conservation principles, but also people asking them questions will be much more impressed if they do have a good depth of knowledge. No one can know everything, and it's better to admit, sorry, don't know that, have to look it up. But having a reasonably broad knowledge and understanding biodiversity is much better than just a guide that just learns a patter off by heart and just repeats that every time he's got a group of tourists with him. And yeah, tourists do really, most tourists do really appreciate having a good guide. And biodiversity, of course, adds to tourism experience. Now, Africa promotes its big five: elephants, rhinos, lions, leopards, buffalo. And some tour companies just ignore everything else. But there's just so much more to see. There are some wonderful animals. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought my son was calling me. Yeah, and having a great diversity really adds to the tourism experience. I was delighted to see this slow loris year before last in SABAH. And this year I managed to see a mouse deer for the very first time and a tree shrew. I really never expected to see those. Yeah, this little mouse-like creature up the top right is not related to mice. It's a little marsupial related to Tasmanian devils, but size of a mouse. Oh, another animal that delighted me in SABAH on the KINABALU was that paradise snake there, the flying snake. I never expected to see one of those either. There's lots I could say about all of those animals, but we're short on time. And many people in the tourism industry just do not realise the complexity of biodiversity. They'll say, oh yeah, we've got quite a few birds here, and we've got monkeys, and so yeah, everything's okay. But sometimes it's really not okay that they're not really considering biodiversity as a whole. And yeah, we've had some problems in Australia with private companies coming in and taking very long-term leases, and not just building discrete little huts here and there, but building, or in this case, wanting to build. It was finally stopped. Wanting to build 5 clusters of really upmarket cabins with associated vehicle tracks and so on, which would have taken up just so much of the national park it was going to be put into. This sort of thing works well in Kruger National Park in South Africa, because Kruger National Park is enormous, and to have private rest areas here and there within that works out well. But in smaller national parks, it surely doesn't, and they should be on the edge of a national park, outside of the national park where possible, or a discrete and very well controlled. There are some within national parks that are done very well, but
Sorry, Doctor. Hello.
yeah, just I'll go. Yeah, again, out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people just don't realise seagrasses and other marine habitats. When we get a lot of erosion in the mountains, it can clog up the seagrass that the dugongs and the green turtles depend on. Of course, there's a lot of pollution. Suntan lotions being worn when people go swimming in the creek can affect the little creatures living in it. Yeah.
Doctor, hello, Doctor.
Go through a bit fast, but surveys can cost money and time. But there's ways of doing them a bit cheaper, with volunteers and sometimes students doing postgrad research. Yeah, I'm getting to the end of this now. I wrote a report with Karen Higginbottom on the negative impacts of wildlife tourism on wildlife. Not to stop wildlife tourism, but so that we can understand what some of these negative impacts could be and avoid them. So monitoring to make sure that we're not having a negative impact is important. I don't have time to go through all of that, but there's different things different situations. You might just want to monitor a particular species. You might want to get a feeling for sort of how it is affecting mammals, birds, beetles, fish, everything.
Dr. Rhonda, hello. Doctor, sorry, because your time has ended. It's only 15 minutes, so we are very sorry about that.
Pardon?
Can you just please wrap up your presentation?
Okay, so just
Sorry.
just in summary, tourism can be nature positive, but yeah, we just need to be aware of some of the negative impacts and monitor and avoid them. So yeah, that's the end of the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, and sorry for the interruption just now. We would just one question, I think, from the floor. How do you plan for uncertainties such as pandemics or maybe political shifts? Do you have any opinion or suggestion or whatsoever?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. Could you put that in the chat?
Oh, sure, okay.
Could you put that in the chat, and then I can respond to it? Because I just couldn't hear properly. Actually, I'll put something in the chat too, the Wildlife Tourism Australia website, because there's loads of information on that. planning for future uncertainties. Oh, the band. Yes, yes, yes. You do need. That really hit everyone by surprise. We weren't expecting the whole world to virtually stop. So yeah, you need to have some sort of sideline available. Yeah, one of our students from Griffith Uni a few years back, a West Papuan, suddenly found, of course, no one coming to West Papua for his bird tours. One of the professors from the university actually helped him get started with raising catfish to sell for food and also growing rice. Um, we've all sort of realised since then it's a good idea to have some of these alternate sources of income to keep us going, because even when we were in trouble, when we couldn't run tours, we still had to pay insurance, we still had to pay national parks permits, we still had to pay for inspections of the tour vehicle every 6 months, and without being able to run any tours for almost 2 years. So yeah, it is a good idea to look ahead and think, okay, that's not going to be the last disaster. What do we do when the next one comes? Also, there might be some other smaller things that happen that, maybe your tour vehicle's broken for a while and you can't run tours. Can you hire yourself out as a guide to someone else for a while just to keep going financially? There's also problem, like the bird flu that might have a devastating effect on some bird communities. I think you had trouble over there with a disease that got into the wild pig, the bearded pig. I'm not quite sure how one plans for that sort of thing. Most we can do is to try and avoid it, and going into some of the national parks here, we have um, things that squirt the underside of our feet, of our shoes, with fungicides, because there's a chytrid virus that affects frogs, and there's a Phytophthora virus that affects trees, and we don't want people coming in from other areas bringing these viruses in. Um,
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rhonda, for
are
the.
there other sorts of uncertainties that you're thinking of?
I think that's about it. We'll keep in touch for the other questions then.
Sorry, something's gone wrong with my. I can't hear properly. If you could put that into the chat again. Oh, right. What is your favourite animal here? Oh boy, I don't know. Well, I like so many of them. The orangutan, of course, is one of them. I loved seeing the hornbills, um, the civets, the proboscis monkeys. Uh, and as I mentioned, the little mouse deer. I read a story when I was 7 years old. I think it was by Rudyard Kipling, but I'm not sure, about the mouse deer. I never thought I'd ever see it. Suddenly I was waiting in a bird hide at Utan in Sabah, eastern Sabah, and suddenly a mouse deer came along in front of the hide. I was quite delighted. But, uh, it's hard to pick a favourite. There's so many wonderful animals. So I've put the website for wildlife tourism. One thing on there, if you look up under wildlife, there's tips for tour operators for treading lightly, and within that, I'm starting to present guidelines for wildlife watching from around the world and for different groups of wildlife. That's from a project we're doing for the IUCN and hosting it on the wildlife tourism page. yes, I'd like to keep in touch very much. Oh, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Embark Canyon next March. I'll be spending a few days on the KINABALU and then meeting Deirdre back in KOTA KINABALU and heading with her to Embark Canyon, I think. So it'll be the first time I've seen really tall primary virgin rainforest in SABAH. So that'll be great. Okay. Bye, everyone.
All right, let's continue with the second presenter. So she will be joining us online as well, Ms. Nur Fairuz binti Fauzi from the Perak State Park Corporation. She will share her insights on ecotourism management in Royal Balloon. And Ms. Nur will begin with a 5-minute video presentation and then followed by her talk. So let's start the presentation.
Di utara negeri Perak, Malaysia, terdapat sebuah kawasan hutan dara, Taman Negeri Royal Balloon. Satu komuniti telah menetap di sini lebih daripada 25,000 tahun. Bahasa, budaya dan tradisinya telah diwarisi turun-temurun. Dibentuk oleh gaya hidup di hutan belantara dan pengetahuan nenek moyang mereka. Mereka ialah orang asli Jahai, pelindung hutan di Royal Balloon. Hutan purba ini menjadi habitat kepada pokok-pokok gergasi dengan ketinggian melebihi 40 meter dan lebih 3,000 spesies tumbuhan berbunga. Hutan ini kaya dengan kehidupan. Lebih 300 spesies burung termasuk 10 spesies enggang Malaysia terdapat di Royal Balloon. Lebih 100 spesies mamalia dijumpai di sini, termasuk harimau Malaya yang elusif. Menjadikan hutan ini sebuah sanktuari biodiversiti yang mengagumkan. Komuniti Jahai di Royal Balloon berperanan penting dalam menyokong usaha ekopelancongan setempat. Dengan pengetahuan mendalam tentang hutan di sini, mereka membawa pengunjung meneroka rahsia alam semula jadi di Royal Balloon. Koperasi orang asli Sungai Tiang menguruskan sanktuari ikan kelah Akecep yang menggalakkan ekopelancongan secara mampan dan menjadi mata pencarian bagi komuniti setempat. Sanktuari ini melindungi habitat semula jadi ikan kelah, spesies ikan air tawar yang hidup di sungai jernih. Di sini, para pengunjung boleh mendekati spesies ikan ini dengan memberi makan dan mengamati keindahannya. Inisiatif ini dinamakan Akecep yang bermaksud jangan tangkap, menampilkan komitmen komuniti setempat untuk melindungi ekosistem ini. Santuari ini juga menawarkan pengalaman untuk merasai budaya dan masakan tradisional komuniti setempat. Telusuri sungai dengan rakit buloh atau tubing sambil menikmati kesegaran air jernih dan kehijauan hutan yang mempesonakan. Bagi yang menggemari cabaran, komuniti Jahai juga mengendalikan aktiviti memancing di sepanjang sungai dan di sekitar Tasik Temenggur. Dengan sekurang-kurangnya 40 spesies ikan air tawar yang direkodkan, kawasan ini umpama syurga buat para pencinta alam dan pemancing. Di Royal Belum, komuniti Jahai berperanan aktif dalam usaha konservasi sebagai peronda hutan di samping pihak berkuasa Taman Negeri dan badan bukan kerajaan untuk mengawal ekosistem ini daripada ancaman pemburuan haram. Royal Belum merupakan kawasan pertama di Asia Tenggara yang diakreditasi sebagai Conservation Assured Tiger Standards, satu pencapaian penting dalam usaha melindungi harimau Malaya terancam. Komuniti setempat juga menyelenggara kawasan Padang Ragut untuk konservasi seladang dan rusa sambar, memastikan kelangsungan hidup spesies ini. 10 spesies enggang ada di sini, menandakan kepelbagaian spesies enggang yang tertinggi di dunia. Terdapat penjaga enggang yang mengumpul data kajian bagi membantu konservasi spesies burung berkarisma ini. Dengan sokongan badan bukan kerajaan, komuniti Jahai telah menubuhkan nursery spesies pokok hutan, mengumpulkan biji benih semasa pembungaan besar-besaran dan disemai untuk penanaman semula. Pokok-pokok ini akan memelihara habitat, memperkaya hutan serta memelihara fungsi dan kepentingan ekologi. Selain konservasi, komuniti ini juga turut berusaha membangunkan masa hadapan yang lebih baik. Melalui kerjasama dengan badan bukan kerajaan, Pusat Pendidikan Awal Kanak-kanak telah ditubuhkan untuk melatih guru-guru tempatan bagi membimbing generasi muda komuniti Jahai. Pelbagai program turut dijalankan untuk menginspirasi anak-anak muda Jahai supaya melindungi hutan ini yang menjadi legasi mereka. Di Royal Belum, komuniti dan konservasi bergerak seiring, memastikan kelestarian hutan ini demi generasi akan datang.
Nampak screen.
Okey, nampak.
Saya tak nampak skrin tu. Sekejap ya. Okay. Okay, good afternoon everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer, which is Yayasan SABAH, for inviting me to be part of the Maliau Basin Ecotourism workshop today. I have to admit that I have never been to Maliau Basin in person, so I'm feeling a bit jealous to anyone who has and anyone who participate in the workshop today. But I have heard so much about its beauty and biodiversity. Hopefully one day we can do a knowledge or exchange sharing transfer. You show me Maliau and I'll bring you to Royal Belum. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with a quick introduction to Royal Belum State Park. Belum, located in the northern part of Perak, Peninsula Malaysia, within the Belum Temenggong Forest Complex. As you can see in the rectangle, it spans more than 128,000 hectares and is recognized as one of the world oldest rainforests. So if we zoom in, the park share borders with Thailand Banglang National Park and the Halabala Wildlife Sanctuary. To reach the park, it takes about 1 hour from the Pekan Kurik and also 1 hour by boat to reach the further camp area inside the Royal Belum. This ancient forest is a treasure of biodiversity with rich cultural and ecological significance. So next, this is the map of Royal Belum. If we can zoom in, this is the So this is the ecotourist spot for the tourists to in Royal Belum. So let's proceed to the next level. 1,000 orang asli Jahai, resident as mentioned earlier in the video. They have deep cultural ties to the forest and rivers, living in harmony with nature for generations. So their traditional ecological knowledge is invaluable for our conservation work and is central to our success in protecting the nature park. So moving forward, our main conservation focus is the Malaysian tiger. It is a critically endangered species. Protecting the tiger also means protecting the entire ecosystem as it is an umbrella species. The park is also home to hornbill, elephant, tapir and seladang, making it a biodiversity hotspot of global importance. So in 2023, the Royal Belum State Park, under the management of Perak State Park Corporation, has been awarded a prestigious Conservation Assured Tiger Standard, which is also known as CATS. This milestone was achieved through close collaboration with WWF Malaysia, Perak State Government, government agencies, and also a lot of NGOs who provided guidance and support throughout the accreditation process. So this certification places Malaysia on the map as the first country in Southeast Asia to implement CAPS. So we follow the 7 pillar as previous slide. With our monitoring standard. So we get the accreditation. Asli communities is a cornerstone to our approach. We train them as forest patrollers and biodiversity monitors, creating livelihood opportunity while strengthening conservation. Through the Koperasi Orang Asli Sungai Tiang, also known as KOAS, we have developed a Sungai Tiang Fish Sanctuary, which is the sanctuary protect valuable native species like kelah and tengas, as been shown in the previous video, while creating sustainable income for the community through ecotourism activities. So on the slide shown the ecotourism activities promote by the Koperasi Orang Asli Kampung Sungai Tiang. So the name Ecotourism means don't catch in the Jahal language. It's reflecting the conservation spirit of the initiative. So we integrate the Taga system like in Sabah, here in Royal Belum as well, with zoning for different fishing activities, such as from daily fishing, sport fishing, tourism area, and also strict to non-fishing conservation zone. So all this registered guide in the park is recognized by the Perhilitan with their green badge. So they are all from local communities and ensuring tourism stay within this protected area. So now moving to the next slide. Royal Belum is primarily a water-dominated ecosystem with vast section under strict. So only certain designated areas are accessible to public and also the research purpose. So in terms of visitation, the park welcome more than 27 and the majority being domestic tourists. So as the current date in 2025, we have already recorded more than 30,000 visitors, including local and international from international. So this number highlight a Royal Belum growing appeal while maintaining its conservation integrity. So we also offer unique ecotourism experiences as mentioned on the slide. For example, for bird watchers, for trekkers and nature enthusiasts, for water and lake activities, and own activities and also local attraction. So from our work in remain the top priority as we serve as a protected area for tiger conservation. So empowering communities be rushed for short-term result, As an example, in the Sungai Tiang, prioritize their own pace of development, period where they don't want to be rushed by. So lastly, we must have a to ensure sustainability. The challenges in balancing tourism and conservation are applied. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Puan Nur Fairuz. We open the floor for a few questions. So if you could just put your questions into the slider, or if you would like to ask directly, should be okay. We have 5 minutes. Hello, Puan Fairuz. Can you hear us?
Actually, I cannot hear clearly from the Zoom itself. Maybe I can read from the Slido.
Oh yeah, you can. We will share the screen. If you could please.
Okay, read screen.
Can you please share the Slido questions? Share screen for the Slido's questions. They cannot. She cannot listen. Listen. Yeah, couldn't hear us. Puan Nur Fairuz, can you hear us? Can you?
Sorry, but no. Nampak saja. Menang. Nanti to close this.
I think we just cut short the second presentation and just move on to the next presentation due to some technical issues.
I will ask the organizer to get access for this, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. So the secretariat, if you could please proceed with the question and send it towards the speaker so that she can reply it and give us in due time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ms. Nurfairuz. So we will proceed to our third speaker. We would like to invite Ms. Arianti Atong from the Sarawak Forestry Corporation. She will be sharing on the ecotourism management within the organization. Please welcome. Ms. Ariati Atong serves as the head of the Visitors and Product Management section in the Ecotourism Division of Sarawak Forestry Corporation. She is responsible for developing ecotourism products that enhance the environmental awareness and enrich the visitor experience.
Okay, sorry for the glitch. Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang. A very good afternoon to everyone. So, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Arianti Atong from Sarawak Forestry Corporations, and with me today is my colleagues, Mr. Abang Norizan and Mr. Justin. We are all from Sarawak Forestry Corporation. So later on, for Q&A session, they will help me. Yeah. So basically, my presentation today is about ecotourism management in Sarawak Parks. What I'm going to do today is just to share our experiences in Sarawak. Not to brag about what we do, but just to share. This is a sharing session. Yeah. Just a quick introduction. Basically, our national park is part of protected areas. So basically, in Sarawak, you can have a look. This is why we have the reason that we have protected areas actually. But in Sarawak, we call it totally protected area. Basically, it's the same. So if you can see, for conservation and protection purpose and the rest of it, I'm not going to read that. This is also the purpose of management of protected areas. So basically, this is just some textbook information. So what I'm going to share today is basically the categories that we have in protected areas in Sarawak. We have national parks, we have nature reserve, and we have wildlife sanctuaries. So basically, national parks and nature reserve is basically the same. It's just in terms of size, so that we call it, and also in terms of area, locations of nature reserve mostly adjacent, at the outskirts of the urban area, whereas national parks are mainly further inland. So in Sarawak, we have 47 national parks, we have 15 nature reserve, and also the last category is wildlife sanctuary. So wildlife sanctuary is basically 100% for research purpose. Just sharing here, these are the stakeholders of our protected areas in Sarawak. We have local businesses, we have NGOs, politicians, tourism operators, and also communities, adjacent landowners, conservation group, industrial, tourists, and so on. So basically, this is our main stakeholders. So what you can see here is distribution of our protected areas throughout Sarawak. So yeah. So in terms of area, we basically have approximately 872 hectares, 72,000 hectares of protected areas in Sarawak, well distributed throughout Sarawak. So what I'm going to share today is basically on the ecotourism management at Sarawak Park. So our approach are basically, yeah, just now we see the management of the park. So basically this is what, in terms of location, that the parks that we have throughout Sarawak. So those, the dark green color is National Park, the light green is Wildlife Sanctuary, and the brown color is for Nature Reserve. So this is just to give you know, just to give a quick glance at the national park that we have in Sarawak, which are open for visitors. Out of 47, actually we have 23, 24 parks which are open for visitors. So basically there's the natural features. Each park has its own iconic and special features. Yeah, these some of them in the Sibu region, Bintulu region, and Miri region. So the core principle in terms of management of protected areas in Sarawak, in particular national parks, so we're looking at the sustainability element and also conservation, definitely on conservation, also on awareness and education, and even our ecotourism approach are basically mainly based on awareness and education, and also last but not least is on the local benefits. So when we talk about local benefits, you can see we actually kind of putting a lot of emphasis on community empowerment. So one of it, we conduct community empowerment through SEBAH program, SEBAH initiatives. And also, beside that, we also have employment where we get involvement from the community around National Park to be part of the management, where we employ them as the members of the management itself. Other than that, we also get involvement from them through a committee, special park committee we call it. So where they get involved with us through decision-making processes, whatever happened in the park. So we get the involvement from the special park committee. So basically the membership is on renewable basis. But other than that, just now I remember one of the presenter earlier talking about how the guide need to know about biodiversity. So this is one of it, where we want the guide, the licensed park guide, we call it, in our park are knowledgeable of what we have in the park, because they will be the frontliner to tell the visitors of what we have in the park. So this is the licensed park guide. This is among the approach that we use in terms of empowerment. Yeah, as you can see here, this is, I'm just sharing in terms of number of visitors to Sarawak Parks for the past 5 years, and for 2025 only until May. So if you look at the number of foreign and local visitors, yeah, of course, during 2021, 2020, baru habis pandemic, so basically the numbers is not there. But picking up on 2022, 23, and now 2024, we have, yeah, in terms of foreigner, we have basically a lot of visitors from outside of Malaysia as well. Like I mentioned earlier, in terms of management approaches, we are basically integrate conservation and development project. And also in terms of visitor zoning, we also do that in the park, where tourist area is clearly defined by signages, and also in terms of safety. So it's being defined by zoning. And also we do conduct carrying capacity as well, and also limit of acceptable change kind of study. Other than that, we engage multi-stakeholder involvement. So this is among the things that when we talk about ecotourism product development, these are the things that we highlight in our approach to develop products. Basically, it's just the trail activities such as birding, frauding, wildlife viewing, caving, and also night walk. And the most favorite for me personally is the conservation-based program and also community-based program. So basically, these are the pillars that we use to refer to when we want to develop an ecotourism product. Yeah, other than that, we also emphasize on capacity building, where training programs is very important, and also local entrepreneurship, also we need to get NGO and government support. NGO support basically when we talk about handicraft communities adjacent to national parks, so we kind of encourage them to be part of whatever happens in the park. So even though they are outside the park boundary, but their involvement is very important. So we look at it as part of our task as well. That's why we look at the training programs. We always get involvement from the community. And also we help them to develop in terms of local entrepreneurship. But this is not done only by SFC, but it's being done by collaboration with other agencies and ministries as well in Sarawak. Yeah, just now I talked about conservation, integration, and development projects. In Chile, the zoning activities initiative in National Park is quite new. In the past we do have zoning, but there's no formal way of doing it. But we started to go into the zoning part of it. So now we are looking at certain area where we focus more on conservation, focus more on tourism, and also if we plan to have some sort of development, for example, communication tower in the park, so it is compulsory to conduct a certain EIA or HIA, SIA kind of assessment. And also we need, we do this through the environmental education as well. So in terms of marketing of a tourism product, normally we try to come up with a good branding. We work together with tourism industry as well. We get input from them, and also we listen to, because the tourism industry players in Sarawak is actually very active in promoting ecotourism for national parks. So basically we work with them, we try to get input from them for us to come up with a branding which is more visitors friendly, tourist friendly kind of approach. And so at the same time, we do have some sort of digital platform approach to market the product, and also a participation in expos, yeah. So these are the challenges that we have in terms of management of tourism, and also to balance between tourism and conservation in Sarawak Park. One is to balance which one to focus on, because sometimes if you focus on tourism, we might, fall back with the conservation. So we need to balance this. This is among the challenges that we have to go through. Other than that, in terms of community participation, like I mentioned earlier in my presentation, because we want to emphasize on involvement from the community, but yet again, it's not easy to convince people, to see whether they're willing to be part of the ecotourism development in that area. Also, or one is whether they're willing, and one is whether they are ready. So sometimes most of the villages, the community, they might say that they wanted to do it, but they might not ready. So it is among the challenges that we have to go through. Other than that, I think this is quite common anywhere. Funding, in terms of funding, maintenance for conservation and community program. Many times that we feel like we wanted to do it, we want to improve, we want to do something better, but the issue is funding. I believe this is everywhere. Other than that, the challenges that we have to go through is in terms of tourism facilities that we have in the park, because for your information, tourism has not been in our main focus earlier on when we started to have national park. So what the facilities that we have is basically all the very basic kind of facilities, and most of them are very aging. So we want to compete with the current situation. We are kind of fall back behind. So this is among the challenges that we have to move, approach and look at it from different perspective. Other than that, as usual, staff shortage is another thing, where people in the park has been so used to do the normal things in terms of monitoring, patrolling in the park. But now when we wanted to venture into tourism, it's a balance. It's a challenge for them to balance between daily operation with tourism, because tourism is another different subject matter. So this is among the things that a challenge for us. And other than that, of course, the tourism-oriented skill. Maybe people in the park, some of the people in the park, they don't have this customer service ready, how to welcome people, be nice and all, smile, just a simple smile, things like that. Other than that, this is quite common, seasonal access to parks. We oftentimes that we have grudges from the industry where the park is closed due to weather, when it's a rain, then sometimes even though people comes from overseas just to go to see that particular wildlife, for example, and the park is closed due to weather. So this is among the things that we have to actually think of how to handle it the best. So other than that, some parks are still very remote when in terms of accessibility is not easy. And of course, like what I said, the climate risk nowadays with the rains and floods and everything. So these are among the challenges that we have to go through. Yeah, not to say the best practices. This is what basically our approach in terms of to be to be at par of what is happening nowadays. So basically, like what I mentioned earlier, guiding certification. Actually, in our ordinance, we have this where the guide who's supposed to guide in the park must have a license which is certified by SFC. Yeah, it's in our ordinance. So meaning they need to have, even though you're good, like mentioned earlier by our presenter earlier on, even though you're good at guiding tourists and all, you might not have knowledge of what to present in the park. So this is one of the way that we want to get a better interpretation to our tourists. Other than that, special park committee, they get involved in decision making. Transportation services as well. We have this in, for example, in Bako National Park, where the transportation services is fully handled by the local community. Homestay and other services, this is where we emphasize on community-based ecotourism development, where we get involvement from the community to provide accommodation and certain services that is for the tourists. So it can be a package kind of for when people visit the park. So whatever happened at the Longhouse, for example, in Sarawak, for example, that we have at Nia National Park, we have a homestay which is already registered with Ministry of Tourism. So this is among the things that we do. Other than that, cultural performance as well. We wanted to move towards, this is something new basically, where we want to basically get those people who are good in activities like storytelling, what else? Dances, music. So traditional music. We wanted them to actually improve in terms to bring it forward and use it as a tourism attraction. Yeah, conservation initiative. One of the product that how we try to embed the conservation elements in our product. We have some sort of adoption programs. Adoption program is basically we have, for example, orangutan adoption program, sea turtle conservation program, and many more. I think that's about it. That's all I can share for today. This is just some photos from national parks in Sarawak. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I think we have received a question in Slido. Asking about the local community punya happiness. Are they happy? Are they living inside the park or outside? I mean the location of the people surrounding the park. Are they happy? They say.
I mean, this is a very interesting question. So am I happy here today right now? Are you happy right now? So this is very subjective. I can't be answerable for that question because whether they're happy or not, I'm not sure. Maybe they're happy today. They might not be happy tomorrow or next week. I'm not sure. But in general, what we're trying to do here, when we talk about local community in Sarawak, adjacent to national park in particular, they have like the normal, they are in their comfort zone. They have things they do, like probably collecting things from the jungle as a source of livelihood. But with ecotourism, what we try to tell them is actually ecotourism is an alternative for them, that they can actually do something else with what they think. All this while they harvest things from the forest. All this while we want they harvest things from the forest, but now we're telling them actually you not necessarily you harvest it, maybe you can make use of it as a tourism attraction. So yeah, if they're happy with that kind of arrangement, I mean, I would say they're happy, but if not, probably they're not. Yeah. I hope I answered that question.
How do people, entrepreneur, what is the process in trying to invest in tourism infrastructure like lodges, resort?
Yeah. How do people actually to invest in entrepreneurships and national park? What we do actually, we have this program where we call a community engagement program, where we conduct a session similar like this. We call the local people to sit together in a round table. We discuss with them. We tell them, we kind of force them to actually see things that they see every day. For example, in Sarawak, makan sayur midin. This is at the back of the house, at belakang rumah saja. So basically what we tell them, this midin is your daily food. But for people from outside, it might be something specialty, you know. So we tell them this, and then again, like what I said earlier on, willingness and readiness. Some of them like very excited when we try to open their eyes with this kind of ideas. But yet again, to get them ready, this is another process. Actually, we are also working towards it. Actually, we wanted to learn from SABAH as well. We wanted the community actually be able to be not dependent with the government or with the national park alone. This is why I said they need to actually, we have this kind of session just to help them to open their eyes and to open their mind to see the potential. Yeah. In terms of readiness, government sector, we try to help them as much as we can. We work together, not only SFC, but also other agencies, Ministry of Tourism, what else? Yeah, all kind of agencies work together towards it. Yeah.
Do you encourage famous brand, famous name to invest in your park? Like for example, if Shangri-La want to inject, or Hilton or Hyatt want to build lodges in your park, do you have a special program, or is that basically reactive? The nature park is basically reacting if there is any suggestion for investment.
We do have that a lot actually. Earlier on, when we first started, wanted to venture into tourism, we get quite a lot. But at the beginning, we are a bit skeptical about it. But nowadays, the direction is a little bit different. We have we call it outsourcing exercise. Basically, we do have it. For example, Nia National Park, right? Nia National Park, which has recently been inscribed as UNESCO World Heritage Site, actually is going towards that direction. We are going to have someone, the industry, to basically manage hospitality services at Nia National Park. Yeah, we do welcome. To answer you, in short, yes, we do. Yeah. Are we good?
We have questions, maybe one or two more questions. Do you have dedicated team for tourism activities? Since you mentioned your staff are mainly used to conduct tasks like patrolling. So do you have any dedicated team for tourism activities?
Yeah, we do. This is just quite recent. We started with only 2 people in 2019, and then comes 2000. At the end of 2019, we have 4, 5. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are 7 of us. And we also, on top of it, we also have visitor center where is also looking at the tourism. Yeah. Basically, yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay, and last question, how the ecotourism sector contributed to the management of protected national areas? That's the last question. How do ecotourism sector contributed to the management of protected national areas?
I don't quite get what it means by this question, but if I get it correctly, tourism sector definitely contribute in terms of management. So when you look at the management of the national park, our main pillar is the conservation. Now with ecotourism, we try to use tourism as a platform to promote further conservation initiative. Previously, probably just among those who work in that area, those who are expert in that area. But now with ecotourism, I believe the boundary is bigger, where we open it to visitors, any kind sort of ages, back, back, different background. Yeah, people from all over different background. Yeah, I believe that how we contribute into the management of national park.
Okay, I think that's all the time that we have for this session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was told that there are 3 minutes video to be played.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
Lambir Hills National Park, a hidden gem of Borneo's rainforest, named after its jagged skyline resembling a rooster's crown. Lambir is a place of breathtaking landscapes, rich biodiversity, and vital research. Protecting Lambir means preserving history, nature, and the future. The waterfalls of Lambir are among its greatest attractions. Flowing through ancient rock formations, these clear waters provide the lifelines for plants, animals, and humans. The rainforest is full of wonders. Within a 52-hectare research plot, over 1,200 tree species reach for the sky, their towering trunks sheltering the vibrant life below. The forest floor is alive with unique plants. Pitcher plants use their deep chambers to catch insects. The liquala palm, with its distinctive fan-shaped leaves, thrives in the undergrowth, adding to the forest's rich diversity. Delicate mushrooms grow on fallen logs, breaking down dead plants and enriching the soil. Lambir's forest is not just one type. It has lowland dipterocarp forest, heath forest also known as Karangas forest, each with its own unique trees and plants. This diversity makes Lambir one of the most important forests in the world. But Lambir is more than just a home for nature. Scientists from all over the world come here to study the rainforest. Every discovery made here helps protect not only Lambir, but forests everywhere. Local communities have lived around Lambir for generations. Their connection to the forest can be seen in their craft. With its breathtaking landscapes, rich biodiversity, and role in research, Lambir Hills National Park is a true national treasure. By protecting Lambir, we protect a part of our history, our environment, and our future. Lambir Hills National Park, a hidden gem of Borneo's rainforest.
So if I can get your attention here, we have about 2 more presentations and also one brief introduction from the facilitator to this program. So I would like to ask whether you would like to have a rest right now for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we continue, or you want to continue with the presentation first? How about maybe break 10 yeah, we take a break lah, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Let's be sharp so that we can go on time. Is it okay? So because it's 4 and then we have like less than an hour to finish all 3 sessions.
الحين جينا بالهدنة لقينا هنا.
betul. Tapi skrip yang ni, saya tulis, saya arah. Erisha.
Bersama saya, Erisha Amira.
Ini cerita tenaga dalam diri. Bukan sekadar satu dimensi. Kerana selagi kami terus bertenaga, action!
Selagi itulah, kami akan terus berani untuk mencipta.
Milo, jom cipta nama.
Yes, that was taken on the new Huawei Pura 80 Ultra.
这些样张都是我用 Pure 80 Ultra 的10倍拍下来的夜景，你们觉得怎样？
This is the new Huawei Pura 80 Ultra. Never seen before on any smartphone, the industry's first switchable dual telephoto lens with a mechanical shutter that changes the optical path.
Dua lens telefoto yang support sampai 37 kali optical zoom dan juga 9.4 kali optical zoom.
With just a 1/1.28-inch sensor size, the industry's maximum light intake on telephoto lens, so more light equals more details equals cleaner night shots.
You can actually see a very consistent light intake, you can see a very consistent white balance, and everything just looks very smooth as it zooms all the way to the top.
Siang atau malam, dua-dua ni boleh tapau zoom dengan bergaya sekali.
你看吧，每一张就算你拿来放大，它的细节都是非常的清晰，颜色也是一样没有变的。
But what's new and unique is this sensor.
This time it's called the Ultra Lighting HDR sensor,
which has up to 16 stops of dynamic range.
That's the most dynamic range in a smartphone.
Which mean kamera dia ni dah level macam cinema camera Red V Raptor yang MKBHD pakai.
人眼所看到的画面是这样子黑黑暗暗的，然后呢 Pura 80 Ultra 镜头下竟然是这样的，灯光的色彩也能拍出来了。
So if you're shooting against the sun, you're not going to be backlit, keeping your image consistent, all thanks to Huawei's self-developed triple light enhancement technology. So now let's talk about the Huawei Pura 80 Pro.
Pura 80 Pro juga tak kurang hebatnya. Dia gunakan sensor yang sama dengan Ultra iaitu 50 megapiksel 1 inci.
Whether you're shooting in bright daylight or trying to capture images at night, this camera is going to deliver brilliant images.
Apa yang aku suka pada versi Pro ni adalah dia punya kebolehan macro shot. Rasanya peminat makro fotografi mesti akan appreciate punya Pura 80 Pro sebab dia boleh close up sampai 5 cm daripada subjek.
Pura 80系列。
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we have to continue now for our next presenter. Okay, so I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Jennifer Chan Kim Lian, a professor of sustainable tourism and hospitality management at University Malaysia Sabah. With nearly 3 decades of academic and research experience, she is a leading authority in sustainable and responsible tourism. Professor Jennifer has advised on national and international tourism standards, contributed to UNESCO Global Geopark initiatives, and received numerous awards for her work in environmental sustainability. So without further ado, I welcome Professor Jennifer.
Very good afternoon and salam sejahtera to all the participants. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer and Dr. Waidi for the invitations. I'm indeed happy to be here to share with you 3 things. Yeah, I'm not an expert. How do I put it on the screen? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I don't have video to share with you, but what I'm going to share with you is 3 themes that is very important in the context of planning, management, and operation of a sustainable ecotourism destination. And I believe that after this session, you can take away quite a number of points to develop your 10-year strategic management plan. Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to discuss with you is a sustainable ecotourism destination. We often talk about sustainability, sustainable, but what it is, right? What is the content? Secondly, I'd like you to consider and think ecotourism is not the product. Ecotourism is experiences, yeah? And finally, within the context of planning and management, I think it's good time in your workshop you consider ecotourism standard, because with that standard, you can actually gauge your quality and your sustainability. So let's begin with sustainable ecotourism. We know, okay, ecotourism, conservation of natural resources, community well-being, you have seen across, right? And through education and interpretation, right? That is the basic understanding. But then, how do we move on towards sustainability, right? So when you talk about sustainability, we actually seen, based on the video, yes, you have the, thank you, you have the, what you call, community involvement, the well-being, but more importantly, I'd like you to think 3 pillars, how these 3 pillars actually connected, right? So we need to conserve, we need to protect our environment, we make sure the destination that we are developing have business, generate business, income, yeah, job, and of course, the social well-being, right? Now, generally, when we talk about sustainable ecotourism, wildlife management and conservation practices, you cannot ignore, all right? It's part of it. What is more important in that destination, you must be guided by a framework. That framework consists of 3 sustainability pillars: social, cultural. You want to go back to the 5 sites that you have identified. Who are these people, right? What do they have? What sort of cultural resources you have that eventually you can promote? You can use that to generate economic benefit for the local. That is part of the sustainability. Economy, promoting the local development, supporting the local community. Of course, when we talk about development, we have to be careful and we need to tie up with the sustainable. And finally, environmental, right? Definitely everyone knows conservation of our natural resources, and that resources is pertinent to enrich the visitor experiences, because the visitor experiences come from what type of resources you have. And finally, the whole holistic approach is that we want to make sure the destination well-being, in the sense that our resources are well protected, well taken care of, so as the local community, right? Now, this just to show you the sustainable development pillar, right? Where in the center here, we have the sustainable development. So in your strategic management plan, you want to ensure that your destination that you are planning must be sustainable. So these are the 3 dimensions you need to look at. For example, environment, forests, trees, wildlife, mountain, waterfalls, cave, right? Identify those. And then you look at the social aspect of it, which is the local community. I assume that different sites have a different culture, different community, different custom that you can actually promote. And finally, of course, that place to be sustainable, you must be able to generate jobs, income, and business activity, right? And this one, I just run through quickly. I took from the textbook. I found out it's very useful. Actually, all these dimensions, you can translate it into your management and operation. You look at the economic dimension. So one of it is, are you supporting the local economy? Are you creating employments? What are employment, right? And then environmental dimension. How do you manage your natural areas? How do you practice, sustainable consumption and production, which is actually tied to sustainable development goals, right? So a lot of things that with this chart, you can actually identify and add in while you are doing your planning, yeah? Because I don't have much time, I don't go through in detail, right? So 3 important aspects of ecotourism. So what counts as sustainable tourism destination? So every destination have its key component, which is individuals. Who are the local community? The composition of the local community is very important as a researcher to identify their uniqueness. Then you have an attraction and resources physically. Then what sort of experiences are you going to create? Sarawak, our friends have shown excellent example. You have so many parks, but then each park, you actually create unique experiences. And I don't see this in Sabah. Most of our ecotourism destination is wildlife, activity, right? I was kind of disappointed because I spent almost 30 years in doing research and understand how it can be translated into a reality, yeah? So of course, how do you create a sustainable destination? Your healthy natural environment, your quality, authentic experiences. The local community, of course, we know, we need to improve their well-being. Then only can be sustainable. Then they are willing to participate. And lastly, collaboration among the stakeholders is critical. Yeah, you need to get not only among the stakeholders, I think sometimes with the private sector and government agency is very crucial. Yeah. So moving on, I want to share with you what it takes to become a premier eco destination, right? First thing is, if you look at the destination itself, like I say, individual attraction experiences that create. Within the destination, you have the natural, you have the local, and you also need to consider your risk factor. That is what often we've forgotten. The risk factor could be natural disaster. If every time, for example, I want to share with you like Kota Belud, every time raining season, yeah, some of the tour homestay got problem. So if you know this type of risk, you should be able to identify area that is safe. Yeah, move away from the riverside. Make sure you develop in a place that is safe. And of course, you must have a guidelines, right? To take prevention. So with that, that means you have a sustainable concept and guideline in your planning, development, and management. And what is it that guideline must consist of? It will have a value creation. That guideline will tell you, we often have the problem of tourism development and conservation, right? Very difficult. So you should be able to identify in the intelligent manner that these sort of resources can create value, high values, while it is part of the developmental process, yeah? While being of the people, pristine and community engagement, yeah? So another slide is to show you sustainable ecotourism development and operation, all right? Now, you know from here, every destination has its own unique resources, attraction, right? So this distinctive and authentic tourism, it can become a tourist experiences, and then you package it. You package it as an ecotourism package. Cases like this, I've seen that, you know, most of the ecotourism places have this kind of unique opportunity, but then we lack of the creativity and how to create value from this, yeah? So when you talk about sustainable development strategy, right, you need to look at the 3 pillars. From that 3 pillars, so towards the end, in short, how do you make sure the destination is sustainable? You need to look at the holistic approach. Inclusiveness, collaborative, contextual issue is very critical. So out of those 5 sides, I'm sure the context itself is very different. Yeah? You need to recognize it, and then you need to have roughly the development concept and the framework that you want to achieve for each of the sites. Yeah? So second important theme for ecotourism is ecotourism experience. And I draw on these 4 realms of experiences. Yeah? So we should treat ecotourism as a form of experiences. If you ask a tourist going to Kinabalu or to any ecotourism destination, this type of ecotourists, they are motivated for learning, education, conservation practices. Then they are looking for a place to escape. Very ecotourism destination like those 5 sites, I suppose, it will create a very unique atmosphere, a place for tourists to escape. They do not want a similar environment. Third is the aesthetic. So you can actually capture, if it's within the protected forest, ask yourself, what kind of environment, physical environment, and the intangible items that you can actually develop and let the tourists experience it. Yeah? And finally, entertainment. Well, okay. Now, entertainment doesn't mean the normal entertainment. Ecotourism does provide entertainment in the form of riverboat cruise, hiking, scenery, aesthetic values, right? So these are the 4 realms of experience that we can actually incorporate it into our destination development planning as well as a package. I often ask the ecotourism operator, what are you selling? I'm selling wildlife, that's it. I'm selling riverboat cruise. But if you actually understand the motivation of an ecotourist, they are looking for learning, education, a unique place to escape. They're looking at the environment. They're looking at the some kind of entertainment form, yeah, which is very different. So meaning of ecotourism, because tourists interact with the place, with the people, with the space, with the service, with the culture. So its experience is very subjective. So that's why a lot of tour operators will not deem ecotourism as an experience because it's very subjective and emotion. But however, this is very important to the tourists. Yeah. So emotion, physical, spiritual is very important. So the experience comes from what? How the tourists feel, the sense of it, the way they think, oh, this is a good conservation practices, the way they act and the way they relate, you know, how the conservation practices actually relate to the climate change, save the animal. Yeah. So bear in mind that within that destination you are going to develop, picture itself that what kind of experience I'm going to create. How is it? How does it transform? Yeah. So that's why you have this education, escape, aesthetic, and entertainment. Yeah. So quickly, just to share with you in the simple term, how does the tourism experiences form? Right. These are the key components. Then you have the interaction, the tourist interaction with destination, tourists within the tourists within the community. So finally, you have the ecotourism experiences. So in your management strategic plan, you need to think of where does the experience come from? And how are you going to ensure that all these factors are being planned, well planned in the sustainable manner? Yeah. This is a slide that I did a research, is matching grant with KOTA that we did promoting Kinabalu as a premium ecotourism destination. Based on the data we collected, I translated into 4 realms. Yeah? So if you can look at the education part of it, learning wildlife, local culture, conservation, enhanced expertise in nature setting. So these are what the ecotourists wanted to see. Therefore, you should be able to provide this. Then escape, different place, right, from the work. I feel like I'm in a different world. You know, this is what, when you develop a destination, you want to capture this. And aesthetic. So one of the interesting outcome aesthetic is that Borneo rainforest scenery. These are from the West international tourists. They really enjoy our forest. Protected, secondary, right? Sense of peacefulness. That's why in those 5 sites, one of the things that you can capture and develop it, uniqueness, is based on your environment. How does your environment can develop that kind of sense of peacefulness, nature, untouched, very pristine, right? And of course, you do have some kind of activity like watching wildlife, riverboat cruise, cultural performance. So this can be categorized as entertainment, because towards the end of the day, you know, they would like to learn the local community lifestyle. Yeah. So moving on, this is just to share with you, throughout my research, education become the key dimension from the ecotourist, and then escape, aesthetic, and entertainment. So if your destination can capture all these components or dimensions, then it's really what the ecotourists are looking for. Yeah? So this become a novel perspective in developing your ecotourism destination. Yeah? Based on those 4. Very simple. Yeah? Of course, when you do your marketing, go for experiential marketing, not so much capture on your wildlife itself. Just capture, I'm seeing, you know, the orangutan on the top, and then that kind of marketing experience photo. So third, finally, the last one is ecotourism standard. I noticed across SABAH, we don't really have some kind of standard to be guided, right? Standard today is very important to ensure the quality as a selling point, as a form of sustainability, and also to ensure local community benefit. I'd like to introduce to you 2 international standards. ASEAN Ecotourism Standard, which cover ecotourism activity, facility, and services to promote responsible ecotourism Southeast Asia. I was one of the consultants together with Asia Ecotourism Network, we were contract to develop this standard, and is now suggested to be adopted by ASEAN country. Yeah, so later I'll show you. The second one is Asia Ecotourism Standard for Accommodation. So these two actually give you very simple guideline. You don't really have to follow all, but it's a good beginning for you to start and to consider what are some of the key components in the standard. Yeah. So in this, it was we did it in 2024. So it's actually framework to guide ecotourism operator towards sustainable practices, promote responsible tourism, and the standard have mandatory criteria for certification and also different level of recognition. Yeah. So this is the standard, and this is a link that you can actually download. Yeah. It will be good because it's widely recognized within ASEAN country. When we did the focus group, we actually engaged all the countries. So I was in charge for Malaysia. We have people from Myanmar, people from Thailand, people from every country to look into this. Yeah. And so we define what is ecotourism activity, we define what is ecotourism facility, and we define what is ecotourism services. So this will be a good guideline to consider when you want to develop your facility, your services, and your activity. It's good to start at the beginning so that you actually already blend in. Yeah? And in this standard, we have 9 categories. We have management, how you manage. We have sustainable use. We have safe guiding. We have community welfare. We have stakeholders awareness. We have appreciation. We have quality experience. We have partnership and collaboration, safety and security. Yeah. So altogether, we have 66 criteria, right? But not all of it you need to follow. Yeah. Next is the Asia Ecotourism Standard. We call it ESA, and it's developed by 17 Asia Ecotourism Network members. So, and it has been recognized by Global Sustainable Tourism Council, GSTC. This AEN also developed an Asia Ecotourism Standard for Destination. It's all in the website. So this online platform help you to identify what can be included as the criteria. Yeah. So basically, all these are aimed for sustainability. Yeah. So this is a website, Asia Ecotourism Standard for Accommodation. Right. It's very clear cut. And lastly, I want to share with you our research achievement that Lower Kinabalu Premium Competitive Sustainable Ecotourism Destination. The book has been awarded as Anugerah Buku Negara by 2022. So in this textbook, we showcase Lower Kinabalu as a premier destination, and we also showcase the framework, the sustainable framework, where the local community, the government agency, all this need to be work together to ensure the destination continue to grow in a sustainable manner. Right? With that, thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you so much, Prof. Jennifer, sorry. Maybe we got room for one question only, so if you could post your questions.
No question, okay.
Okay, so maybe we head straight to the next presentation then.
All right, our last speaker is Mr. Fazrullah Rizali from SABAH Park. He is the Senior Assistant Director and Head of the Research and Education Division at SABAH Park.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon, everyone. So I will be the final presenter for today. For the next 15 minutes, I would like to share SABAH Park's approach, experience, and a few more stories that related to ecotourism management. And most of my presentation here based on my experience, more to sites experience that since that I have been working with many stations in SABAH Park as a park manager. So I'll try to share everyone what actually we do in SABAH Park when it comes to related to ecotourism management. So I just hope that this presentation will contribute meaningful to the formulation of the 10th year Maliau Basin Strategy Management Plan. So I'll go to SABAH Park's overview first. As you can see here that in the map of Sabah, actually we have 9 parks overall, 3 terrestrial park and 5 marine park, where these all are gazetted under the enactment, Park Enactment 1984. Well, actually, just want to mention for those who don't know SABAH Parks, actually, SABAH Park is under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment. And under this ministry, well, we have representative Dr. Mariam there, our mother, where they are the one that to make sure SABAH Park is in the right path, parallel with the requirement of the Sabah government. So we have a few agencies under this ministry, and we take this opportunity, advantage on a few of these agencies. Actually, we have Sabah Tourism Board, where actually help us to promote tourism area in SABAH Park area. And then when it comes to environment, we will go to the JPAS, Jabatan Perlindungan Alam Sekitar. So that's actually, I think, one of the advantage to us. But like other protected area or protected or conservation area, the SABAH Park is entrusted for preserving, protecting and conserving our natural heritage, while recreation and ecotourism are secondary objective and remain an important focus of our work. And most of my presentation here are more to actually our experience how to control the tourist activity in our park. Just like I just mentioned just now that we have 9 parks, but this is the 7 wonders, iconic sites in the SABAH Park area, where actually we use this to promote our area. I think from this picture here, you are familiar with the majestic Mount Kinabalu. Do you know that this is, of course, World Heritage Area, but do you know that we get this recognition from UNESCO as a World Heritage site? It's not because of the Gunung Kinabalu, but it is because of the very high biodiversity, flora and fauna with different altitude of the mountain. So, but still, we use this majestic Mount Kinabalu as an iconic to promote this park. And then we have culture heritage, especially in Banjaran Crocker Range Park, and then Tawawa Hill Park with the tallest lowland Dicterocarp forest. Turtle Island, if you go to Turtle Island in Selingan, you can say that there will be a turtle landing almost every night throughout the year. Every night you can see turtle will come up to the beach. And then coral reef, we use the term CTI, Coral Triangle Initiative area, where we can compare this with the, if in the terrestrial, the Amazon area. But for marine, we are very fortunate that we have the CTI area in our in SABAH particularly. And then I'm sure that you know this picture here. Where is this? This is at Bohai Dulang. And Chinese from China like to go visit here almost every day, and very packed with tourists. And then, of course, I don't have to mention the last one is Sipadan. If you go to the island, there is nothing there, but you need to go diving. Then you can see the school of Barracuda like this. I have experienced a few times to watch this. Okay. So our work is guided by the Park Enactment 1984, focusing on in situ conservations alongside with the responsible tourists, and we have a mountain, river, and also marine. And in the next part of my presentation here, I will outline a key aspect of tourism management in our park. So every action is guided by the needs to balance conservation with visitor satisfaction. As part of the daily routine operation, our facilities in the recreation zone range from the rest house and campsite to water supply systems, public amenities, and landscape areas. So some of our area in the park, we open that and we zone it as a recreation zone. And we take this opportunity also, take advantage to this recreation zone to build a post control for our ranger. And some of the area also as a research center. So it's a multi-use. And then most of these sites are very easy to access. So that's one of the criteria how we choose the recreation zone. And they are actually, from this 9 park we have, actually there are 22 entrances to enter the park, where we collect the conservation fee, which I will talk about that later. And then cleanliness, waste management, and functional infrastructure are crucial part of the operational day-to-day management, and not only for visitors' comfort, but also to reduce ecological footprint. Education is a core component of our ecotourism strategy. We manage galleries, exhibitions center, exit to garden, hatcheries, interpretations center, and guided tours. And this facility enhance public awareness, creating a deeper appreciation of biodiversity and conservation goals. And for explanation about this zoning scheme, as for the safety aspect, the zonings, when I say the safety for tourists and also safety for the flora and fauna, the environment. So the zoning system ensure that activity match with conservation objective. Like for example, high density tourism areas are designated for recreational use. As I can show you here, this is Tunku Abdul Rahman Park. So there's huge, plenty of tourist activity. So we need to zone the area to make sure that only specific area can do specific activity in that area. And while sensitive zones remain off limits or are strictly regulated, it's like, for example, here in Tun Mustafa Park. And we are periodically reviews zone to adapt the ecological changes and tourism patterns. So from time to time, we will change, it's an adaptive, but not, it takes like a few years. Then when based on the observation and also the data that we collect, then we can determine whether to change it. But it is not an easy task to do that. There's a series of engagement with the stakeholders, also meetings and everything, whether there need to be like a win-win situation to implement this kind of zone. So rules and regulation. So all visitors must follow our do and don'ts, and for certain activities, a specific code of conduct. Like for example, wildlife protection. Of course, you know, no hunting, feeding, disturbing, removing plants, all under our enactment. And then waste management, no littering or polluting water sources. Then safety compliance, follow the tourists need to follow the ranger instruction or stay on the designated trails, and so on. And entry permits and fees are mandatory for all visitors, especially the commercial activities required valid license and adhere to approved conditions. This mechanism ensure that compliance regulate impact and generate revenue for park management. On the other hand, we actively engage communities in park-based tourism, creating opportunities, providing hands-on training and celebrating culture alongside nature. For example, like in KINABALU Park, we have this community day, Hari Community, and then we allow, there's a certain occasion that we bring the community to Timpohon Gate, and then there's a kind of celebration based on their culture. And it's also actually happened in Tun Sakaran Marine Park just recently, that we have one kind of, I forgot the name of that culture that we celebrate there. And also, of course, we engage with the local that we to provide them working together as a what we call this Malim Gunung, and even in Tun Sakaran Marine Park we have Malim Bukit, and also to be a guide, a porter, to bring hikers the summit. So local guides share traditional knowledge, generating income while strengthening conservation values. Since 1998, that was happened 2 months after I joined SABAH Parks. Our privatization policy was enable Bumiputra tourism operators to develop facilities like lodges and restaurants in a selected park area. During that time, actually before 1998, SABAH Park operate all the facilities, the lodges and also restaurant. And then after that, it has been decided that we give a concession like 30 years to all to the appointed Bumiputra company during that time. And even now, we still follow this policy. And then maybe from you all, if you're interested, you can apply our area here. But it's very complicated. We need to go to the cabinet for approval to get an area for this. I would just like to share here, this is the data of tourist arrival of our park, which have now exceeded 1 million visitors. With steady growth since the MCO period. I don't have data for the revenue, but what I can tell you here that our revenue, I think 2024, 2023 exceed 60 million. 60 million for the whole SABAH Parks area. But just to mention you, to inform you that from out of this 60 million, actually, KINABALU apa ini memberi contribute to SABAH Park about 13 million. So what I want to say here that not all our park are in the same level of when we say the tourist, the achievement of tourist activity. So what we can learn here that maybe a few of our park, because of some of our park are still not developed. So the better park can help the one that still need more budget to operation or to develop it. Actually, tourism data guided us for our decision making, helping us to track trends, refine marketing, and evaluate the effectiveness of zoning and regulations, alongside natural resources data on flora and fauna, enforcement activities, and others. These insights are interconnected, ensuring sustainable growth without compromising ecological integrity. So what can we learn from my presentation just now? So there are 5 key takeaways guides us what I can summarize here. First, balanced approach between conservation and tourism works. And then second, community involvement enhance both cultural values and visitors' satisfactions. The third one is private sector partnership, add quality and capacity. The fourth one, quality over quantity, sustain environment and economy. And the fifth one is continuous monitoring and adaptation, keep policies relevant. So what is our way forward? Actually, just for your information, SABAH is also currently developing its new 10 years strategic plan to replace the previous one. So still in the process now, but for today's presentation, I will just highlight relevant part that align with our topic. Still in the draft, it's not been brought to our board yet. And looking ahead, we will strengthen ecotourism branding to position SABAH as a world-class sustainable destination. And we will expand community-based programs and capacity building, empowering local communities to take an active roles in ecotourism. And at the same time, we want to upgrade infrastructure aligned with sustainable principles such as SDG and ESG. To improve efficiency and monitoring, we will implement digital system for permit and visitor management. This is still ongoing now. Most of our station now we use this cashless. There's no need to use cash to enter. But one challenge the challenge to do this, you need the internet in that area, and some of areas are in the remote area. And then we will also diversify high-end tourism product that highlight our unique natural and cultural heritage. Our target is 1.5 million visitors annually by 2035, with minimal ecological impact. That's all. In conclusion, ecotourism in SABAH is not just about attracting visitors, of course. We need to also focus about sustaining ecosystem, empowering communities, and creating meaningful nature experience. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Fazrullah. We are open for one question, but okay. The first question: what is the average tourism revenue? I think it's been answered by Mr. Fazrullah just now. About 60 million, was it just now? And then, what is the SP plan to strengthen financial sustainable, not giving profit substation?
What is
SABAH plan to strengthen financial sustainability, not giving profit substation to substation.
I think I'm not sure I understand with this question. What is SABAH plans to strengthen the not giving profit substation? Well,
yeah, the floor is open.
Yeah.
Thank you. As usual, excellent sharing, always from you. It's quite enlightening. Of importance, I think, for the workshop nanti is how do you atur giving out concessions for the industry in the parks? I mean, you said complicated, I understand, but as far as SOP is concerned, if there is one exists, if it isn't, and it would probably be in the management plan, future management plan, how do you propose to atur it properly?
Okay. We actually in the process now. We are trying to improve our zoning area. So again, we need more information about our area, what we have, all specific flora and fauna, and then what is the importance, the sensitive zone, and we are trying to have a few area where we zone it as I forgot the name of that zone, but something that we can offer to outsider for those who are interested to do investment in our areas, particularly on tourism. Yeah. I'm still not sure about that. But yeah. Yeah. Well, it was actually been discussed, I think a few months ago. Yeah, that we want to establish that zone. Yeah, and that was discussed in the top management and the board level. I'll try to answer the question just now. As I just mentioned just now, for our substation, not only for tourism purpose, we also use this for enforcement post, control posts. So even though that is not financial sustainable, we will look into again what is the purpose of that station. But of course, we will try to look for how to get revenue for each station.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Fazrullah, for the presentation just now. I'm not sure whether we can answer the last question there. Do you consider developing a new niche tourism product? Maybe one, since there's about dark tourism, maybe just a short yes and no, maybe like could be
Yes.
enough, I think.
Yes.
Dark tourism. Oh, okay.
Actually, it's already been discussed in SABAH Park, and then there was a workshop that being carried out, organized by SABAH Park with, if I'm not mistaken, from UPM.
Oh, okay.
And there's there's one or two company that promote dark tourism in Suluk Island and in future in Maliau.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fazrul.
Thank you.
Okay, that one concluded our presentation from our speakers today. So, but I know it's already 5:15 p.m. and we still have one topic to cover, which is a briefing from Dr. Fifi. So, yeah, without further ado, I invite Dr. Fifi. Dr. Fifi is a facilitator for our workshop tomorrow.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So I will not take everyone's times because it's already 15 minutes past 5. I know everyone eager to go back. But remember, tomorrow we'll be discussing about all 7 sites that we proposed under the Maliau Basin Conservation, the management plan. So everyone will be divided into 7 groups. The groups is already been divided. So tomorrow morning, right after registration, check your names, where is your group located. Okay, and then we will discuss. But I will give you something to dream about tonight. So think about something that is, you know, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats of the places that you will be discussing tomorrow. And that's it. Thank you, and good night, and dreams more. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vivi, for the short introduction for what is about to happen tomorrow. I've just searched for the term dark tourism, and it did mention something about death and all the dark things. So thank you so much for your day for today's event. I'll hope to see you again tomorrow, and the event will start in around 8:30. So be early. We have early breakfast also. So I see you guys tomorrow then. See you and goodbye.
Thank you.